The Black Bride of Minsk. Minsk, 1896, an age of horse-drawn carriages and flickering gas lamps. The city's bustling squares and marketplaces hum with life, yet at the edge of this lively atmosphere sits the abandoned St. Mark's Chapel, its stone walls cracked and overgrown. Few people pass by it now. The building was once revered, where hundreds of couples vowed eternal love, but it is now a silent monument to the legend of Elena Sobel, the Black Bride. Elena, daughter of a once wealthy merchant family, was known throughout Minsk for her beauty and grace. Men sought her hand, but her heart belonged to only one, Andrei Voronin, a struggling poet from a humble background. Their love was a secret, nurtured in stolen moments and quiet nights by the Dvina River, far from the prying eyes of society. But they planned to wed in defiance of tradition, with a small ceremony at St. Mark's Chapel. Elena wore a stunning white gown that she had saved for, a symbol of hope and rebellion. On that day, she walked to the chapel alone, full of joy, her heart racing with dreams of the future. But Andrei never came. As the hours slipped by, guests whispered, and rumors started to swirl. Some said he had fled in fear of her family's wrath. Others claimed he had met with a terrible accident, but the truth was far darker. On his way to the chapel, Andrei had been ambushed in a narrow alley, murdered for the few coins in his pocket. His body was left in the gutter, unknown to Elena, who waited in that chapel until nightfall, her dress now heavy with rain. When she finally learned of his fate, something inside her broke. Elena disappeared into the night, her white wedding dress soaked in both rain and grief, wandering the streets for days in search of the man who would never return. And on the 7th night after Andrei's death, her body was found near the riverbank, her white dress stained pitch black from the soot and grime of the city streets, her face frozen in eternal sorrow. But that was not the end of Elena's story. It is said that on the anniversary of her death the Black Bride returns. Her figure, veiled in a tattered black wedding dress, roams the alleys of Minsk, looking for her groom. Over the years, countless sightings have been reported. Men coming home late at night, claiming to have seen a pale woman walking the streets, whispering Andrei's name, only to vanish as they approached. A chill would follow in her wake, and those who saw her swore they felt the weight of her despair. One such story is that of Nikolai, a young cobbler in 1902, who claimed to have seen her on a stormy autumn night. He was walking home after a long day when he noticed a woman standing at the corner of an old cobbled street. Her figure was faint in the fog, but her dress, black and dragging behind her, caught his eye. He called out to her, asking if she needed help, but she only turned her face towards him. Her eyes were hollow, empty, as the chapel she had once stood in. Nikolai ran, his breath visible in the cold night air, but he heard her whisper before disappearing into the mist.
Andrei.
Stories like Nikolai's fueled the legend further, with many in the city avoiding certain streets after dusk. The Black Bride was no longer a ghost tied to a single tragic love story. She became a symbol of the city's dark underbelly, of forgotten promises and relentless sorrow. In the 1920s, renovations began on the old St. Mark's Chapel. Workers tearing down walls to rebuild the structure discovered something chilling, a hollow space beneath the altar, where an old wooden box had been hidden. Inside, they found Andrei's blood-stained journal, detailing his love for Elena, and the letter he had written to her on the night of his murder. He had planned to propose at their secret meeting place by the river, carrying with him a simple iron ring, a symbol of their union, away from the judgment of others. The ring was found with the journal, but Andrei's words revealed a much darker truth. He had not been robbed or killed by chance. His death had been orchestrated by Elena's own father, who could not bear the shame of her marrying below her station. Andrei had learned of the plan but had arrived too late to stop it. His final entry ended with a plea for forgiveness to Elena, whom he knew would wait for him forever. As the journal was unveiled to the public, the sightings of the Black Bride increased. She no longer just haunted random streets. she now appeared at St. Mark's Chapel, the very place where her future had been stolen from her. Those who dared to pass the chapel at night claimed they could hear a woman's weeping, and some saw the flickering shadow of a woman in black by the river, where Andrei had meant to propose. The legend of the Black Bride has become intertwined with Minsk itself, an eternal reminder of the price of betrayal and the inescapable grip of grief. And as we delve deeper into the city's history, one question remains. Is she still searching, or has she finally found what she was looking for?